I get my coffee, and then I'm going to play a recording with Tamsen and Reggie Bowles. Um, I wanted to say before I get started, what they're going through is Hades. The fact that they have the evidence of it, they've sent me evidence of it. I've gotten to see evidence of what they're saying. Sometimes her words don't necessarily come together perfectly, and sometimes there are parts where I need a refresher because I'm going through hell myself. They have so many legal expenses because they were charged with things that did not happen and were not true. And then the charges had to be dropped because these things were not true. But Tamsen and Reggie, after years and years of this, are still going through it over false charges that were already dropped, and they are still having to jump through government hoops. They were going to the people they were supposed to go to, who were giving these kids a clean bill of health, until the courts told them it was done and over with. So they didn't need to go anymore. Their kids were healthy. They were given a clean bill of health. But then, of course, there's poverty to be considered. Now, when it comes to the Givesendgo, and the reason that I haven't turned on my car and backed up yet is there's someone right behind me. But, screw it. They'll see my lights on and they'll let me back up. We're going to press play on this, and we'll let you guys hear Tamsen. I'm sorry my vehicle is so loud. I don't have a loud vehicle to piss you off. It just happens to be that it's a high-revving vehicle. Let me see. Here's my pictures. All right. So, that was the one from yesterday that we didn't get to finish, and I do apologize for that. So some of the stuff in this video, some of the references that she makes, it's a very traumatic experience that I really need to download. But we're going to press play on this, and hopefully as we go along, she'll be able to fill in some details, and we might even be able to find a link to actually have it so you can access that evidence and see it for yourselves. Here we go. Okay, folks. I'm about to call Tamsen and have her tell her story. And hopefully without interruptions. So I'm going to call her up right now. She's been going through a few years of Hades, abusing her horribly. Lot of atrocious. Oh my God! I'm just gonna call her up and let her explain it. Repeatedly, they were abused despite not fitting the criteria. It's fucked up. Anyway, hopefully it'll get... I think it's like 1:30 in that she calls. Alright, we'll pause for a second. Alright, she called back pretty much. Hi, Tamsen.
Hi. Hi, Sean.
I am recording on my tablet, so you can go ahead and start telling your story. And I've got it plugged into my car. I'm about to turn on my car and drive to the other end of town, so you can go ahead and start telling your story. We'll charge it up. If you could speak up just a little bit more than usual.
Like this?
Yep, that'll work.
Okay.
And go ahead and start from the beginning and tell everything that you feel needs to be said, and I will allow you to speak.
Okay, well, when you say beginning, it's not quite that complex. Yeah, I mean, or not quite black and white because, it's a little complex because the very beginning was actually, like I said, 2016. First time, and I was still pregnant. I was pregnant with our younger son. We had our year and 6 months old. We had our older son who was a year and 6 months. We were at a homeless shelter. I was pregnant with our younger son, about 7 months pregnant, somewhere around there. And that's when, and we were at a homeless shelter. We were waiting on housing, and that's when they had, there's some people there, some of the residents of the homeless shelter had seen some things they had taken out of context and called and reported us. And to make a long story short on that, CBS came and visited us, started to exercise your rights at a homeless shelter. So we talked to them, and I didn't tell them I was pregnant either. They may have found that out through the shelter, as the shelter had proof of pregnancy, just so I could get the proper accommodations for someone pregnant. So anyway, they visited us the day before we got our housing, and they even came by our new apartment one time, and they told us the case was closed. Everything seemed okay. But then 2 months later, even another, I think it was 2 months, just like when I said the other night about how they had waited 2 months before they came back when they came in 2020. Yeah, this time, in 2016, it was 2 months before you'd hear anything from anybody. We didn't hear anything from anyone until I gave birth. So 2 months later, at the hospital, it's a scheduled C-section. I was weak. I was anemic. And make a long story short on that, I think they were just waiting on the sidelines for me to get born. They came. They demanded that Nigel, our older son, that he be looked at by their go-to pediatrician. That's Dr. Sarah Passmore. And they wanted me to call her a doctor. And she examined him. The CPS, they coerced my husband into taking him to this place where she was at, that so-called doctor. Supposed to have bars on the window. It's not a regular doctor's office.
They have very specific doctors that they can go to and have that rubber stamped, and that's what they do. That's why you should always go to your own doctor instead.
Yeah, and even at that time, we had also, just like I told you the other night, it's the same situation. We had stopped taking Nigel to wellness checks. He hadn't been one in quite some time, and remember, I'm giving birth now, so they're a newborn. I'm giving birth at a hospital, so that should tell you something. But the wellness checks, we had stopped those and DHS used that against us, of course.
Were they court ordered?
You mean wellness checks?
Yeah.
Well, actually, in 2016, they wanted us to go to they used that as a reason, so they kind of, when we got them back in 2016, the thing is, we agreed to go to, of course not vaccinated, but we just agreed to, just like we used to, just go to wellness checks, just for height and weight like we used to, this time with both boys, of course. So, that's how that went. But,
and being broke, this was costing you money, of course.
Well, no, with insurance. Wellness checks, no, as long as with insurance, wellness checks are, you don't have to pay anything, no.
Very nice.
And it's better with your own doctor, yeah.
All right, I do want to pause that because it costs you to go. There's all these little hidden expenses, but yes, technically it's free for some of this stuff.
Welcome to Domo's McDonald's. Will you be using the mobile app today?
No, sir.
What can I get for you?
I would like one of your largest cup of coffees with 15 sugars and 15 creamers.
For regular coffee?
Yes, sir. No decaf. I don't like decaf.
Okay, 1 second.
But yeah, a large coffee, 15 sugars, and 15 creamers.
How many creamers and how many sugars is that?
15 of each.
15 of each?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Diabetic coma in a cup.
Will that be everything for you?
Yes, sir.
Your total will be $1 at the first window.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Anyway, at that point in the video, I was thinking, you know, with all of the hidden expenses that goes along with that she was telling me about, that would be a perfect opportunity. But I guess she didn't get the cue. Or maybe she figured since we already recorded her talking about that before that, well, I don't know. What I do know is I'm busy talking while I'm in McDonald's line. Here you go. Absolutely. I'm not a sugar addict, really. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You too. Anyway, there's a few things that she told me before that I tried to give her a cue in here to talk about that if she could. It was probably a good opportunity. But, you know, that's one of the things about already having the conversation. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to help out a lot of people and myself, and saving lives takes effort. Yes, ma'am. Right now I'm trying to help out a woman who's gone through Hades, and I also help find missing and murdered indigenous women, and I also go around the country trying to find my missing friends.
Wow, that's really kind of you, honestly.
Oh God, I'm nuttier than squirrel turds. People hate me for it. I get a lot of hecklers, but on the bright side, once in a while, the folks that I help find are not found dead. They are alive, and they get a hold of me right on my YouTube channel and let me know that they're alive and well.
What's your YouTube channel?
It's Sean David.
Sean David?
Yes, ma'am. The profile picture is me in Montana holding a baby goat. I probably shouldn't hold up traffic. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, you stay safe.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so we're going to go back around, and we're going to park for a little bit, and we're going to try to let this play without me, of course, interrupting it. I'm going to park at the far end of the parking lot so we don't have to listen to the vehicles as much, often, or as prevalent as they are here. And since we are customers here, we are allowed to do this. There's even a big old lot over here for truckers and people with boats, because this is a coastal city where they can park with their big old boats and go inside. Because of the COVID thing, and because of staffing restrictions, and also worker shortages all over Oregon, they're currently closed as far as the lobby goes. You can only get food or beverages or any of that through the drive-through. So now that I have again talked way too much, we're gonna get back to pressing play, which means I gotta unlock it again. All right, I'm sorry I keep interrupting you. I'm actually done. I'm gonna start driving now.
Okay, so the 2016, so yeah, with the go-to pediatrician, yeah, it was kind of the same. It was kind of similar to what they did in 2020. Remember, they came back and wanted us to take them to a wellness check with that go-to pediatrician. And so 2016, yeah, the course finished taking them to that. Taking Nigel to that go-to pediatrician, and that's where it was discovered. He had confirmed that we were against vaccines, and she didn't like that. Of course, neither does VPN, and Nigel was healthy, actually. And he was even walking and talking. He wasn't talking in full sentences, but he was pretty outgoing and everything. More so than now, I would say. I mean, they had damaged him. But, but back then he was fine, really. Just coming along. And they took him in there. I mean, that doctor, she took him in, that so-called doctor, she took him in without Reggie. And like I said, he was a year and 6 months old at the time. And she took him in there. I'm sorry, no, at this point he's a year and 8 months old. So not even 2 yet. And he goes in, so she takes him in there and says to Reggie that he can't come in there to be examined. I mean, while he's being examined, he has to wait in the waiting area. And like I said, he's not even talking the full sentences yet. And and then back to the hospital with their newborn. And to the long story short, she eventually gets around to him being off the truck, Nigel being off the truck, she wasn't, as we found out, with other evidence, was not off the truck, back to his overweight and overweight on the day they took him, which was June 24th of 2016. When they took the other the first time, Nigel was on the truck, he got over new growth, and she tried to say he wasn't on the truck, and she even came out saying the only way, from what she can find, the only way possible that he's off the truck, his appearance not, I mean, the only conclusion she could come to is that the parents are not feeding him properly. And so they use that. They didn't blatantly come out at first and say that they're taking it because we don't believe in vaccination. They just tried to claim that we were starving and underfeeding Nigel, and then they made a false story about me being acting crazy at the hospital with my newborn. I've seen falsified reports on that. I mean, falsified documentation. I didn't see that until 2020, actually. 2020 case that there. And they just came out, they just proved that they could out of their own houses just because we're anti-vaccine. And that's the only thing they would prove for on. Well, that and we didn't go to wellness checks for a long time with Nigel. But none of that's against the law. And there was a petition later on that they had as reasons for their religion. And they had released for 6 months in custody. I mean, it was let me out of here. And then he didn't go to trial in 2016. And he just took a deal with the DA. He didn't sign anything. He just took a deal with the DA saying, just like wellness checks, not vaccinated, of course, but just wellness checks, just right rate. And continuous parenting classes. Those and some endoscopic related endoscopic too. And then nothing that much of a big deal. So, I mean, they all have to know. I mean, the evidence at that time is not much to us. So, we got 8 months with them in the house, so 9 months to take us all to 2016. And into 2017. Beginning 2017. And then the things came in March of 2017. And we have nothing to that until, like I said, November 29th and November 2019. And that's when we can the other night. Last night, yeah. So, but yeah, this really all began at a homeless shelter when other residents of the homeless shelter had called on us just because they saw some things they didn't like. And you know how the homeless are, Sean. I mean, I do. I mean, we're homeless too. I mean, some of those, I have seen what you can deal with some of these.
Deal with people who are not right in the head.
What?
I said you're dealing with a lot of people who are not right in the head.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. And I mean, that's pretty much how that started. But I mean, this can happen even with even sometimes medical professionals can get overzealous, and there's all kinds of stories. So and sometimes it's just crooked people. Well, actually, anybody that does this to a human being is not right in the head.
Well, you send me proof.
Because how much money they have.
You send me proof of a lot of this stuff, and
yes.
That's the thing is I ask people for proof. A lot of people, they want to tell their stories, and I'll let them tell their stories. The fact that you sent me proof that's important.
Yes.
All right, continue. Although I'm going to pause it there and say, yes, that's important. I can verify that she sent me evidence. I can verify that she sent me reports. I can verify that there's signatures on those reports. I do not have access to them at the moment while I'm recording. As far as the stuff that she was saying that they had done wrong in order to drag her into court and abuse her and her family, absolutely. The numbers do not add up to the diagnosis. The numbers do not add up to what they are saying. What they're telling, what their paperwork shows, their very own paperwork shows, is that they are lying, that they did not follow protocol, they did not follow procedure. And this is also one of those things where you do have to look it up. You have to know when they tell you whatever it is that they're telling you, you have to look it up. But also, they're not going to record it. In the 1980s, they recorded everything. But then, of course, they started getting in trouble because their recording showed them doing them, well, horrible things. So now, of course, you try to get if they record it, they tell you it's going to take an act of God. How unprofessional is that? Let's press play.
Okay, and so that was 2016. Okay, and then.
One moment, I'm ordering a coffee at McDonald's. Sorry about that. I'd like 1 cup of the largest coffee you got with 15 sugars and 15 creamers.
What was 1 cup of what?
1 cup of the largest coffee you have.
Large coffee with how many cream and sugar?
15 creamer, 15 sugar.
Will that be everything for you today?
Yes, sir.
Comes to $1 at the first one out.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I'm sure you can probably guess where I'm shopping. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I kind of wanted I told the beginning of when they came back, 2019 and then 2020. Yeah, so I was talking about how they came back. I mean, they came and took the kids again in 2020. I mean, they tried, like I said, November 2019, and then January 10th, 2020, they took them again. And it's kind of similar to the last time. I mean, back in 2016. Well, there's similarity. Actually, a lot of similarities. Like, some of the same patterns and stuff. Some of the same people involved, although some new characters. I do want to call them characters. More people added onto it. And then, especially with the CPS. I don't think any of the CPS from 2016 was the same. But still, I mean, it was, like I said, a lot of same tactic. So, so I think they left off last night.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sorry about the Tamsen. A lot of people don't believe me when I say 15 sugars and 15 creamers, so I didn't mean for that to be a major interruption.
Okay, I don't even remember what I just said. Do I need to go back and say what I just said? I mean,
I don't know, wherever you feel like you should start speaking again.
I know you'll be listening later anyway, so it should be okay. If you have any questions, you can always ask.
Yes,
okay, so 2020, so like I was saying last night, I mean, they had stormed in and taken the kids. Yeah, they took me to jail for 3 nights until my husband bailed me out. And I didn't even get to my show cause hearing, because the jail played games. It was like they were deliberately trying to make sure I didn't get to that show cause hearing. Luckily, my husband went. And the show cause hearing is the 72-hour hearing. I mean, after 72 hours after they had taken the kids, they call you into court. They have you come into court and they put on a show, of course. I guess would hence the reason. Hence the name show cause. But that's not. That it just makes sense. But anyway, it's just where they their first. It's the court's first. When in front of the court, and they first really violate you, like they're in the court. But you really have to go there. But at least Reggie was able to go, my husband. And well, anyway, when I got out of jail, I was able to go to court, of course, and more violations, of course.
Pretty hot. Have a great night.
Thank you. All right, so you were violated by the courts?
Yeah, even early on, that's what they do, and almost immediately once you start going in there, yeah, they find every excuse to not give your kids back, of course. And like I said, this is 2020. I didn't go to the show cause hearing because I was still in jail, and the jail wouldn't get me there. And and then the court-appointed lawyers we had at the time, they sent us to this meeting exactly 1 week after they took the kids. That's where the lawyers wouldn't show up with us, and so we didn't get the protection that we were deserved. That we deserved, and so they were able to lie to us right there at the meeting and try to coerce us into saying stuff. Well, they didn't coerce us into saying anything, but they would twist our words, of course. So what it was they had a meeting, and it's not reported, and we didn't have our evidence, the ER reports. We didn't have that yet. So they tried to tell us that the night they took the kids, which is a week earlier, that the night they took the kids, they were off the chart at the ER. So they take them up to the ER because their pediatrician, and that night they had evidently gone to bed. I don't know. It was kind of late at night, and so they took them to the ER at the local hospital, the children's ER at the local hospital, where they had a complete bill of health. And their lungs were clear. They were on the chart. Normal weight for their height. Normal weight for their height. Normal weight for their age group.
So there was nothing wrong with them. They took them away and assaulted you, even though there was nothing wrong with your kids.
Right.
They had to take your kids to a doctor other than their rubber stamp doctor, and it bit them in the butt, which is why you always need to go to your own doctor, and it's a good thing the ER was there.
Here's the thing. Actually, it wasn't that good.
All right, so I'd already listened to this explanation, and I already knew what she was about to say next. But the thing is that it did come back and bite them in the butt. Matter of fact, in specific, that very specific doctor, despite the fact that there are protocols to follow, very specific protocols to follow, she chose to ignore those protocols, those legal protocols. And then she signed her name, knowing that the information in there did not meet the criteria for what she was signing her name to. She still, as a medical professional, signed her name to a document in which it proves that her diagnosis is neither legal nor moral.
Because see, the thing is, on the ER reports, it didn't line up. If you're looking at the final diagnosis on the ER report, it doesn't line up with the rest of them. That's why they try to keep it from us. And if we got a hold of it, anybody that's looking at the final diagnosis, it said that they were malnourished. That how is a malnourished child? How are they on the chart? Normal weight for their age group. Lungs are clear. Head, eyes, ears, nose, and throat. Does this seem malnourished kids to you? Sure doesn't to me.
So,
If you're just looking at the final diagnosis, it's a little different.
so basically what it is
that
that
Amanda put on there.
I'm going to pause this to say I am leaving now out of my vehicle, so I won't interrupt for a good long while. What CPS had said does not match up with the health bill of your hospital paperwork, because the hospital health paperwork all says everything checks out clean.
No, the ER doctor was in bed with CPS because she put down on the final diagnosis that the boys were malnourished. She put it there. Dr. Amanda Madden, ER physician.
Even with all of the numbers lining up.
Yes. Because most people, when they look at a ER report that has a whole bunch of papers on it, a whole bunch of pages.
They don't read those pages, they just read the end of it.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at that, yeah. So that ER doctor, you already know. And that hospital
I do.
is not the greatest either, yeah.
I've got stories from hundreds of homeless people just since I left Nebraska with the same issues with the hospitals. They don't care. Go ahead, though.
Okay. Yeah. So, and they tried to hide those ER reports from us. They tried to cover them up. My husband had to go, Reggie, he had to go up there multiple times. And he said they looked at him like he was a monster. They wouldn't give him the ER reports. And he just went back down. He had to put his foot down. So after however many times that he did, they finally gave in and gave them to him. Thank God. And that showed that the boys were fine the night they were taken.
And even the hospital was covering it up.
Yeah, covering for their doctor, for this
and denying you the rights of a parent. You have the right to that information.
Exactly. And I will add that this is the same hospital that they stole our newborn out of back in 2016. This is where I gave birth. Same hospital. St. Francis. Yeah. Right here in Tulsa, yes. So,
there's a woman named Sarah Bacon that if me and her were still on speaking terms, she might be able to help you. She's not far from there, but
okay.
Some people, I'm sorry that I can't get you in contact with someone like that, but maybe she'll decide to peek in on my page, or somebody will tell her that I spoke about her on my channel, and maybe she'll listen and possibly even try to contact you. Or if not, if she wants to get a hold of me and try to contact you to help you, I'll see about doing that.
Sounds good to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So that, so that was the hospital. Yeah, they all tried to cover up, and so we got those ER reports, and by the time that we got them in our hands, actually, we had gone back into court with them. And our court-appointed lawyers, mine wouldn't look at it. Not yet. He didn't even come in until a little bit later. For the hearing. Right before the hearing. Reggie's lawyer, court-appointed lawyer, was there, and we even put it in her hands, and she went back to another room. It looked like she had read it. She had plenty of time. I don't know. But then, thing is, we got into the hearing, and they had already drawn up an amended petition with a bunch of lies, and most of that came out of the meeting that we had gone to, that they had sent us to, those lawyers.
The one that wasn't recorded, so they can say whatever they want, and you can't do anything about it. It's their word versus yours.
Yeah, that's where they had lied and said the kids were off the chart. We didn't have the evidence. We knew they were lying, but we didn't have the evidence to just back up what we were saying. So there's no point in arguing with them. Back and forth. Because we were trying to bring them home that day. On that day of the meeting, which is exactly when we got to the boys. We were saying, can we take our kids home? And they said, no, you don't meet the safety threshold. The kids were off the chart that night. But they weren't. Yeah, so, and then after, and just so you know, with that meeting, so what happened with that meeting, so they were lying to us, and then we had a 1.5-hour visit with the boys. This is at the DHS building. So we had a visit with the boys. That's the first visit we had since they were taken. So we hadn't seen them in 1 week, but yeah, we had a 1.5-hour visit, And then after that visit, they coerced us into, like two of the workers, in fact, this was two of the workers that were stalking us. Two of the workers, and yeah, they were also in that meeting, but they had, so after the visit, they had said that they wanted one-on-one interviews with me and Reggie. So one interviewed me, one interviewed him. And with me, she twisted my words, just mainly attacking my mental health. I had told her I was fine and that I had some misdiagnoses and stuff, even going back to the age of 14 and stuff. And I had
You were in the system.
I get targeted.
I want to pause you on that. With
Okay.
the misdiagnosis among children in the system, that is the most common area in the United States to be diagnosed. And second is among the homeless. Misdiagnoses are a tool by which many of these doctors are able to keep your money coming in. It's also a situation of if you're having somebody who's predatory towards you in the system or in a facility, that facility is liable. And if it's a staff member especially, or they allow another child access to do something, they have liabilities. So what they have is legal protections. And one of those legal protections is misdiagnosis. They want to believe their coworkers more than they want to believe somebody who's locked up, or somebody who's in foster care, or somebody who's telling on an abusive parent or guardian. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting you again. That's something that I wanted to point out because when like I said, I want your story to help all of us so that people know it's not just me, it's not just you, it's many people. Go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So they use that against me. I mean, just anything. Oh yeah, and even in 2016, yeah, they were using what happened there against me. I mean, as far as when they were trying to say that I was acting crazy at the hospital. I mean, after giving birth, yeah. Then they used that as a reason to take our children back in 2016. What I did was I had gone voluntarily to a psychiatrist, but they had sent me to one, DHS, so it's one of theirs. I didn't have insurance, although I thought I did, and yet I was trying to get into something as fast as I could. So I told them I had insurance, and I was wrong. I mistakenly told them I had insurance. I mean, the pregnancy worker, I told her that this is in 2016, and so she sends me to somebody. It's one of their providers, and that didn't go so good. So he gave me a wrong diagnosis. So I have now a history of by 2020, when they take the kids the second time, I now have a history of at least a couple of misdiagnoses. And so I was talking about that on the one-on-one interview with this lying bitch, the same one that grabbed in 2020, the guy January 10th, 2020, the one that grabbed our younger son, and also signed off on the ER reports, knowing that they were fine, and lied at the meeting, saying we didn't meet the safety threshold, and would later at the adjudication trial come in and testify under oath and commit perjury about dark circles being around their children's eyes, which we have proof that they were not. So this bitch has committed multiple felonies. Oh yeah, she's also the one who called 911 on the morning of the 10th. And the one who came in by herself in November 2019. This is all the same bitch.
Yes, ma'am, and you are allowed to curse on my channel. These are people's lives at stake. People need to listen, and if you got to curse to get emphasis on it, then damn it, do it.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I curse a lot on my channel. I curse a lot.
I know, but you tell the truth. That's good. Yeah, you're good. Okay. So,
The joys of motherhood.
okay, I'm here. Okay.
Yeah, Miss Jerry's house was a madhouse. She had 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. Very, very much sometimes you got to lay the law down and set your foot down. Absolutely. All right, go ahead.
Okay, where was I?
We were at the lady who was there who had lied to the officers the night that the officers had lied and also coerced, as well as worked together with the sheriff's department when they broke the law and the sheriff's department had assaulted you. And then they locked you up under false charges and false pretenses. And that's the same lady. And then this is afterwards, you're explaining to us about how she was lying in court and also in those meetings about you, and also stalking you continually after the situation where she had originally stalked you for over 7 hours at your house.
Yes.
Okay.
And when you said she had lied to the officers, actually she had called 911. So I'm sure there was some interaction of lies between her and law enforcement, and that includes sheriff's department and police department. So yeah, that includes sheriff's department and police department. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So what was I saying about her? So she had she had interviewed me one-on-one. Yeah, a week after they took the boys. Yeah, so she's at that meeting where she's lying to me, and then we see the boys for an hour and a half, and then does a one-on-one interview with me, and that's where she twisted my words about those misdiagnoses, which includes the one from 2016 and the one going all the way back to when I was 14 years old. So when we get to court a little bit sometime after that, a couple weeks later or so, and have the ER reports in our hands by that time, the amended petition that they used for keeping the boys in state custody, it didn't really even matter that much about the ER reports, because now because that meeting that the lawyers sent us to without their protection, now you got stuff going on from that meeting, including her twisting my words about my mental health. And that's not the only thing, but yeah, a lot of this came from that, because that's probably why they had those meetings.
Like any other predators working together, the first thing they want to do is separate you from any help or any legal recourse. A lot of those situations, they will try to lie to you and say it's illegal to record. It is not. You have reason to suspect that if it is not recorded by you, the crimes will be committed. Law enforcement nationwide has proven themselves to be unworthy of those positions without being recorded. And even with being recorded, they have shown the American public that they cannot be trusted to not have civilian oversight. And part of that civilian oversight, as the lawyers have probably told you, record everything.
Yeah, actually, those lawyers, they just told us to go and talk to DHS. I mean, right before the meeting, they said, we can't be there. They won't allow us to come there. But just go without us and just talk, just listen to what they have to say and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, they set us up for that. I mean, the lawyers were in bed with them the whole time, and in bed with the judge. I mean, these lawyers were almost as crooked as they come. So, yeah, and these are contract lawyers, don't forget that. Yeah. I mean, when I say contract, that's with legal aid.
Yep, that's what elsewhere they call a public defender.
Well, they're a little bit different than public defender, because public defender is with the public defender's office, and the public defenders are the ones, like I said, they're not. That's how it works here. They represent the children in these cases, and public defenders can represent you in a criminal case.
Yep.
So we had contract lawyers until we were able to get some money together for a private attorney who was a little more vigorous, and she was able to represent us both, and she was a little more vigorous than the contract attorneys, but
the money ran out.
As much of anywhere. Huh?
I said the money ran out.
Yeah, it's because after she lost her case, which she shouldn't have, but it's a very crooked court. But after she lost, we ran out of money, and she pretty much abandoned us. She gave us some tips here and there, but it didn't amount to much anyway. But luckily, because we did have a private attorney, it did work in our favor in some ways, in certain aspects. So I'll give it that. But still, I mean, the whole thing, because it's so crooked and so corrupt, it just wasn't working. I mean, they cheated to win. I mean, the adjudication trial, it was rigged. They cheated. They changed our sworn testimony on the final judgment. Because they knew they had nothing on us. They knew we did nothing wrong. The kids were fine. There's nothing wrong with my mental health except when these assholes take our children because we're poor and whatever else. Because that's what it comes down to. And they forced vaccinated our son the first time. We know they did. And so, how would anybody's mental health be anyway? But I'm fine when they quit fucking with us.
Now, there's one part of this. I know I told you I wanted to let you tell your words because you know it's important. But there's one important part for me. Because autism, every person who's autistic is different. Could you share for us your experience with autism?
Well, I had met. Well, actually, it depends on how you're looking at it because when you're talking about someone like you, I mean, technically we're all. You could say we're all autistic. I mean, we're all little. It's not a bad thing. It's like with you,
we're often told that we all have autistic traits, but I know that with your experiences with autism, how about we'll stick it to within your immediate friends and immediate family.
Still it depends on like the severity. If you're talking about with the severity, severe. I've met some people that were severe. They weren't that close, but they were just like friends or your children of friends or something like that. So not anybody not anybody next of kin or anything like that. If that makes any sense. But other than that, if you're talking about like what you have, like your personality and stuff, which I don't see anything. You speak your mind, which is great. So.
I rub people the wrong way, but at least I say what needs to be said.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't lay down and take it, which you shouldn't have to. So, no power to you. So technically, anybody that's like us, I guess we're all autistic. But if we lay down and take it, then I guess you're not autistic. But who's to say for real? But yeah, as far as severity, nothing but like this. With anyone that's that close to me. So when they've done this to him, and then they act like it's our fault. When they come back again, and they try to blame everything on us once they give him that diagnosis, or once they see that he's not like he was when they first took him, and then they try to blame us. They're trying to say that we caused his problem because we didn't feed him right. That this is what they were saying this time. That he's doing these things because we didn't feed him right and we didn't socialize him right. And there's no scientific backing for that. But he said it.
And he comes back with trauma response.
Passmore actually blamed us. What?
Well, when he came back, the first time that we spoke, you were talking about You know, we'd had that conversation about autism versus, you know, damage from abuse and PTSD and a lot of other things. But, you know, your son, you were explaining that, you know, when you had your son, he was one way, and then they took him, and when they brought him back, he was different.
Yeah, eventually, yes, yeah.
Now, as far as the autism thing goes, like, do you feel that that's a proper diagnosis?
Yeah, because, well, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, the severe, yeah, because it did say severe, so yeah, I mean, they pretty much got it right, I would say, yeah.
So if he's having
yeah.
autism responses or
Uh-huh.
trauma responses or meltdowns, or he's demanding of attention at somewhat or seemingly inappropriate times, that is something that these are autistic traits. So what they have done to him is they've literally done everything that you are told, taught, and trained are wrong things to do to somebody who is autistic, especially a child. And that is extremely traumatic.
Well, he was doing, I mean, like 2016 when they took before they took him, he was, overall, he was fine. He was just, I mean, he was happy. He was dancing and singing, and then when he came back, eventually he didn't talk anymore. He couldn't go to the bathroom on his own, and he just turned 8 the other day, and still, he doesn't talk. He doesn't go to the bathroom on his own. To follow instruction, he doesn't, I mean, he's very low functioning. He just turned 8.
But he used to speak. When he was with you, he speak, and they brought him back not speaking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was for a while, and then eventually wasn't. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the important things about having you here to tell your story instead of me trying to tell it after listening. I will get stuff wrong. I will not remember things perfectly. If I record it, I can go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know you've got a lot more to say. If you wanted to take a break, we can do that. If you want to talk some more. And
I'm good. I'm good. I can keep going.
Yes, ma'am. Go right on ahead.
Okay. So he, where was I? Yeah, even Dr. Passmore, she had blamed us for that. I mean, it's on document. Once he was diagnosed it was after the adjudication. They didn't even diagnose him until after the adjudication trial this time. They had him go to a psychologist, and then Dr. Passmore, she had put down. I mean, she had reported for the documentation of the diagnosis. She had it on there from her notes. That it was our fault that he was autistic. Because
you can't make him autistic.
She said we were doing everything wrong. Because the way we were feeding him, I think about the way we were feeding him, and or the social neglect. Blah blah blah. I mean, it was crazy.
You made him autistic. That right there shows that the lady is not a professional. She does not know what she's talking about. She is not familiar with autism. She is obviously not a doctor. She's not even a trained nurse. I don't know why they are listening to her medical opinion, because she does not have a medical opinion.
Well, remember, this is the same so-called doctor that back in 2016 when she first saw Nigel. Remember, he's off the chart, which he wasn't. But saying he's off the chart because there's no other way other than his parents are not feeding him properly. But she only saw him, and that's after only seeing him for 20 to 30 minutes, never meeting him before in his life. And she didn't even meet me because I was at the hospital.
And that's the important thing about it. If they're going to do something like that, they have to prevent you from being there so they can slide it across and say, hey, pal, sign your name here. They sign their name and it's done.
Oh, you mean to take the kids?
for any of it, any of that has to do with CPS or the police doing anything wrong whatsoever, yes, it is a rubber stamp across the board. From the very first moment to the very ending, from the very first moment that they take your kids to the very first moment that you go talk to that judge, all of that is already decided. They have free reign. It's already been shown that it's illegal for them to have this free reign in every state. It's also been shown that they are still allowed that illegal action in literally every single state. Despite the fact that it's illegal, nobody does anything. They're supposed to, by law, they're supposed to record every one of those situations. The fact that they don't, the fact that, all right, in the 1980s when I was growing up, no matter what, there was always a tape recorder in the center of the table with a tape in it, and you would walk in and they would say, we're going to record it, and they would press play, and that's when you speak.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to do anything unless it was recorded.
Yeah. Yeah, but now, well, they talk about confidentiality, I mean, with minors, but it's just, I mean, even minors' names on the news all the time, so I know that's bullshit. They just do this to cover up their crimes.
Exactly. There are 1,000 different loopholes that they can use to try to prevent you from showing evidence, and they will use them improperly. As long as they use them together, as long as they work together, it is easy peasy. As long as you've got professions that are going to assume that somebody from another profession is telling the truth just because they said so, we got a major issue. If we're having people that even with the body cameras on the officers recording the situation, these people are not allowed access to the body cameras. They're not allowed. This shows the actual situation. You're not even allowed to show the actual situation. You have to allow it to be their word versus yours. They call you mentally ill. You have a history of mental illness, even if it's just depression. Now, imagine what it's going to be like for your son, being as he can't even speak for himself. And even if he could speak for himself, they would just treat him like me. All right, I'm going to get out of the vehicle, and I'm going to let you speak. I'm going to give you at least 20 to 30 minutes of speaking before I come back to the vehicle, if you think you can take care of that much.
Okay. Are you still on the other end?
Well, I'll be outside of my vehicle making sure that I'm not interrupting your story anymore.
Okay, but you'll hear me, right?
My recording will hear you, and I will definitely go back and listen to it. Okay, you know what? I'll have the cigarette here. I'll just, I'll restrain myself the best that I can.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Okay, so, yeah, you were mentioning medical professionals, yeah, because, yeah, and how she's not really a medical professional. I mean, she has a credential, but...
That's one of the things about not being allowed to show evidence or show the situation or have your words heard or taken seriously. Having to turn in predators that are not fit to have a badge or a uniform, not fit for certain to be paid your tax dollars. When you are forced into an abusive situation, you're not allowed to defend yourself. You're put into the worst possible situation that you could be into, and it's illegal as all hell. And then they get to abuse the living shit out of you. And the parents, man, I gotta tell you, the parents have it the worst, which sucks because they have the greatest voting power in this country.
That don't mean shit. She, 2016, she was in 20 to 30 minutes. And I have the medical literature that says to come to any conclusion of why, even if the child's underweight, malnourished, anything like that, you'd have to have laboratory testing. There was no... I'm still on. you have to have you have to have laboratory testing to find out why a child is malnourished and whatnot. If he indeed had been malnourished.
Which he wasn't.
I'm talking about 2016, which he didn't. Yeah, she didn't. She did not give that to him. She just examined him, like I said, 20 to 30 minutes. Without meeting him and not having his medical chart, nothing about his history or anything. And then comes out. She came out a little bit. Nigel came out into the waiting area with Reggie, and they made it look like they were about to go back home. And this is 2016. So they made it look like he was about to go home. They were about to go home together. And then Passmore comes out with a chart, and saying, and she kept pointing. When I read it, she kept pointing to the chart, saying, "Oh yeah." First she asked, "How tall is your wife?" And he said, "I don't know. She's small. I don't know how tall she is, but she's small." And then she kept pointing to the chart, saying, "He's off the chart. He's off the chart." And then the CPS worker, her name was Courtney Duncan. This was the same one that came to the homeless shelter and to the apartment later, and back to the apartment after I had given birth. And this is also the same one that when she had come to the apartment, after we'd gotten the apartment, she looked us in the eyes and told us the case was closed. And then nothing from anybody until 2 months later when I give birth at the hospital. So she's at that child advocacy center with Passmore and all of them. And so Passmore was looking at the chart, pointing to the chart, and then before anybody knows it, Courtney grabs Nigel. She picks him up and grabs him right there at the advocacy center. And then men with guns surround my husband and say, "Are you serving Nigel?" He said no. And then he called me up. Actually they took Reggie back home to our apartment that we had at the time. And then he called me at the hospital and said they took Nigel. And so I figured they were probably coming for the newborn later, but they came for him at the end of the day. And Reggie he went back home after they took Nigel because I guess he just wasn't thinking straight. Instead of saying take me to the hospital to my wife. But anyways, once he called me when he got back home, he actually started walking to the hospital, and that was a long way. It took him hours to get there, but he walked. And because we didn't have a car, and but by the time that he got there, they had already taken our newborn, and so then we were at the show cause hearing on that, but. And it was all a disaster, of course. But still, that Passmore, she's not a medical professional. She's a horrified DHS. I don't know what to call her. I mean, really.
We call them rubber stamps.
Yeah, you can call them that, yeah.
Or a shoe-in for the prosecution.
Yes, she has destroyed lives. There are parents who would be in prison right now if she had not been proven wrong in court. I'm talking about criminal courts. There's at least one couple that we have studied that she had to be...
All right, before she explains that, I want to say, while she's explaining there are people who would be in prison, well, there are people in prison. That's the thing, is that most people are not allowed to fight this in court. They are never allowed. They are forced to go in alone, especially if they're supposed to have government help. The government help always allows your predators within the government the opportunity to get you alone and scare you and threaten and harass and intimidate you without it being even recorded. So she's talking about what can be proven. What is proven? Well, there are people who would otherwise be in prison were it not for the fact that they were allowed to show that evidence, which Tamsen was not, neither was I. They did everything that they could to deny many people, not just Tamsen, of the rights to the evidence that they could have taken to these court dates. They could have taken to their lawyers, if their lawyers, of course, were not public pretenders. Or just, again, shoe-ins for the prosecution. They're paid for by the government. These are bottom-of-the-barrel attorneys. They're just there for a paycheck. And they're definitely not going to make waves. They're not going to stand up to the prosecution. They're not going to stand up to a corrupt judge. They're sure as shit not going to stand up to corrupt police either. This isn't just Tamsen who has to go through this. Or it's just assumed that because one quote-unquote government professional claims it, that it must be true. You don't look it up. You don't bother to look it up. You just give that government official what it is they're asking for, even if the numbers and the criteria do not match up. Anyway, I obviously am worked up about this.
Be proven wrong.
So I'm going to go for another walk.
In prison.
So guilty until proven innocent.
Yes.
It's their word versus yours. And this is illegal. This is illegal in all 50 states.
It sure is, but it's
Why
not.
does she still have a
And
job?
it's a relatively new field. This child abuse pediatrician, I'm sure was just brought in for the purposes of DHS. And DHS is no good. So that's why they have this field. It's a relatively new field. It went around when you and I were kids, John. And they were corrupt back then.
That's right, they were corrupt. The best we got was they come in and they give us these dolls that are sewn together with anatomical parts, and they want to ask us, all right, where did they touch you? Like that was 1986 or 1987 for me. But no cop came in. It was the people at the facility I was at. And I made a big stink about it, and they put me in a room, and they injected me with drugs and told me that I had to take pills. And then when I was all doped up on their pills, that's when they have somebody come in from the archdiocese. And I remember he come in and he sat down with me. I'm all doped up on fucking medications. And he comes in and he wants to know on this doll. He's a trained child psychologist in the 1980s. And he comes in and he wants to know on this plushy doll where the hell I was touched. And I told him, sure enough, but nothing came of it. There was nobody in the room but me. There was nobody that was gonna, or nobody on my side other than me. There was nobody who was gonna say, hey, you need to listen to this kid. Go ahead, though. You're absolutely right about that. I was just trying to verify it.
Okay.
A lot has happened since then in the world of science, and what you're talking about is people who are using tactics from the Stone Age. We have modern technology. Instead of saying, all right, well, we're going to take your word for it when it's the poor, do the testing that you're legally required to do. Do your legally required job that the taxpayers are paying you for. Don't half-ass it just because the person is poor and you've assumed that they must be guilty because they're poor. Or because somebody made an assumption and fucking decided because you're poor they don't like you. Then lo and behold, it means that you must be guilty. Because that's just fucking ludicrous.
Yeah.
It's hard to follow, isn't it?
Yeah, and they think we're uneducated too. I mean, like, for example, like I said, the laboratory testing, I mean, lack thereof. I mean, she didn't have laboratory testing. They're just not seeing him right. He's small for his age. Actually, he wasn't. I mean, he was small for his age. No,
But he's not underweight for his age.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he was actually normal.
For his height, he was normal.
Yeah, actually in 2016, Nigel was normal weight and...
Just so you know, my mom had children who ranged in weight from just over 7 pounds to a little over 11 pounds. That's at birth. So that's quite a range. I mean, that's like a 35% increase in weight from one to the other, or from the lightest one to the heaviest one. That's at birth, so you know. Just from one woman with, well, we'll just press play, I guess.
normal height.
But they ignored that and made a false report and a false diagnosis. The numbers don't match what they said.
Well, that's what you're thinking of 2020 when they took the kids to the ER.
Yes, ma'am.
The thing is, okay, but 2016, remember we have a newborn. I mean, your son was a newborn. So one was so with Passmore and Nigel, examining Nigel, what it was because he's small for his age. Even then, he's normal weight and normal height. But since he's small for his age, thing is, they can make that look like something it's not. So when she lies about
turns genetics into malnutrition. Genetically, you're fucking tiny.
Yeah, and actually, in 2016, Passport said that he was too young for genetics to be considered, which is a lie. I mean, I've even heard it from another doctor. So I know it's a lie, and I've done my research anyway. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but actually,
you think to yourself, this can't be legal, so you look it up and you realize it's actually not legal. How the fuck did they get away with it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is, because she has credentials, she can just put something down, and the thing is...
Nobody's going to check the numbers.
Yeah, and actually you're on something, because what it was, the 2016, when she was examining him, okay, and she weighed him and measured him, the thing is, on the petition of allegations from 2016, for removing the kids in 2016, it said about when she examined Nigel at the Child Advocacy Center, the place with the bars on the windows and stuff.
Yo.
Okay, yeah, well, the thing is, on the petition of allegations, they rounded down on his weight, saying that he had weighed 19 pounds. The thing is, he weighed, and I'll tell you how I found this out. They also left his height off of the petition of allegations for removing the kids. And the thing is, how I found out that he was actually on the chart, I mean, normal height and normal weight that day. The CPS worker, the same one that grabbed Nigel, she was overseeing the visits at the building that we were going to for visits at the time, in 2016. And so I had kept hounding her about, after several weeks of them being in custody, I kept hounding her about what they were doing to the kids, or to Nigel anyway, at East Check, because they were still seeing him. Passmore, or whoever, Passmore was seeing him for height and weight checks without us there.
All right, I'm gonna have to cut you off here. I'm gonna download this onto the internet, and then I'm gonna send you the copy of it. This was a perfect synopsis, so that everything from here on in, you can fill in different parts with details. You can go all the way back to the beginning, or if you feel the stuff more recent is more urgent, then you can start with that, and we can absolutely let you do this every single day. I'm going to download this now because I want to make sure it's done before I run out of battery, if that's okay.
Yeah, but, okay, I can pick up where I left off, but the thing is, I have got to say this.
Okay, do so.
Because we have been, because what I couldn't say in court was like how violating this is. It feels like being raped. I'll be honest.
Yes.
And of course you can't say that in court, really. But also, I also want to say that we have I need to let people know that we have been led financially dry. And we have a Givesendgo, actually, if people want to donate, because we have legal and medical costs and any legal expenses to help keep our kids. we're just really struggling, and so if anybody wants to donate, they're more than welcome.
All right, so what's the information for that again, for us to donate to?
Givesendgo. It's a Givesendgo. We have a Givesendgo.
How is it spelled?
Givesendgo. Okay, it's all one word. It's all together. Givesendgo. Givesendgo.
All right. And it'll be under Tamsen Bowles?
Yeah, Tamsen and Reggie. Yeah, it should be Tamsen and Reggie Bowles. Should be?
Yes, ma'am. And if you could, after I get this downloaded and send it to you, if you could get on there and type that into the comment section so people can see it, and that way they can click on the link and go directly to it, if you're able to do that.
I can try.
Yes, ma'am. I try stuff like that all the time. I eventually figure it out. If not, I'll do my best to try to hook up to a computer and do so myself. I'll look for it and link it myself if you're not able to. All right. Is there anything else that you needed to say before I hang up?
I guess just we're still being violated. I mean, we had the boys out there, but right now, we're just still being violated. And I had the charges dropped, but which is good. And I mean, we have the boys home, and we're still under the tyranny of the state. Because it's a monitored return, and we've done nothing wrong, and they're just trying to exercise their reign, and we're sick of it. We've done nothing wrong. You've seen the evidence yourself, Sean.
I absolutely have. I mean, that's one of the things. Looking at a piece of paperwork and seeing the evidence itself, that's a lot different from just hearing somebody's story. And since you have a lot of places where it's up, where people can go to find that evidence that you've been able to post up, the stuff that you're not going to get in trouble for posting up in public, you know, that's a lot of important details too. So I'm going to hang up on you and get started on getting this down on my channel, and that way everybody can get on there and start helping you out. And I will start off an intro letting them know the information where they can help you at the very beginning before we ever get started playing the video. Does that sound good?
I think so. I mean,
all right.
You know what you're doing, so I'll leave it to you. I mean, there was a little much to keep up with, but it's okay. I trust you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and my younger son wanted to say bye-bye to you. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me get him over. Okay, you can say bye-bye to Sean, and people are going to hear you. Timothy? Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye to Sean. He can hear you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wait.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we heard you. Okay. Okay, thanks, Sean. I'll talk to you soon. God bless you.
You too. Be safe.
Okay, you too. Okay. All right, bye.
Bye. All right. Okay, folks, I'm about to call Tamsen and have her tell her story. All right, so start it over because it went to the end of the video. I hope this stayed recording the whole time. I really do. I want to wish Tamsen the best, and I hope this does her some good. I'm going to end this so I can send it to her. Good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind. Be ever vigilant.